Greetings, everyone, and welcome to We Are ACEDS, streaming live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. My name is Mike Quartararo, and I am the president of ACEDS. Today, we are joined by Sean Cavanagh, Director of Sales at Venio. For those who do not know, Venio is a leading and trusted end-to-end e-discovery provider that helps clients reduce costs, minimize effort, and operationalize the e-discovery process by leveraging automation and artificial intelligence. Venio streamlines the e-discovery process and drives successful outcomes for clients. You can learn more about Venio at veniosystems.com. Venio is also an affiliate partner of ACEDS, and one of the things we like to do, obviously, the reason we are here, we like to try to add value to the e-discovery industry and to our membership by highlighting our partners, their products, and their services. And so with that, let's bring in our guest today, Sean Cavanagh. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for making the time. Welcome to We Are ACEDS.
Hey, Mike. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's dive in. For those who don't know, tell us. Let's start by tell us a little bit about yourself, your career journey, and how you found yourself at Venio and what you do there.
Yeah, of course. So, also anybody else that's joining, really appreciate you joining and taking the time. So, my background is a little bit unique in the sense that it started, very specifically in the SaaS industry. I really started with, a couple of different startup companies and ended up at a company called, I won't go too deep into that, but basically an image-based, personality assessment. It was a very interesting company. And they kind of took the approach of a very user-friendly and unique approach to the candidate experience. And so for me, I really saw the impact of, an image-based, more digestible process. And, it was definitely a little bit different than, what we're doing here at Venio today. But when I was approached by Venio, kind of, understanding, that company, which was actually recently just purchased by Paradox, and the success that they had, really seeing Venio and what they are doing from a unique standpoint, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into some of this as we go, but really taking a different approach to the market, a very user-friendly approach, and so that's kind of what led me to Venio. And today I'm running sales for them, and that's kind of where we are today.
Awesome. So, this is something that always comes up in my mind, and I'm sure in others. Venio is sort of the one of the best e-discovery technologies that you may never have heard of. Why do you think that is? And tell us a little bit about where Venio is at today, and like that.
Sure. So it's a great question. It definitely comes up. I think, first off, it's coming up less and less as we are getting some more recent, very exciting changes here internally, and I'll dive into that a little bit later. But it is it's definitely a fair question, and I think one of the things that we did early on, and I think I really value our founders for taking this approach, and that they didn't just throw Venio out to the entire market early on. They went to arguably the two places that value their data more so than anywhere, and that's two 3-letter government agencies that hint that I'm sure everybody knows about. And I think at the end of the day, understanding the credibility, and Mike, we kind of talked about this before the call, the credibility that goes into the e-discovery market, and kind of the e-discovery market being such a community in a sense. So I think they really, being industry experts themselves, really understood that they needed to gain that credibility in the market before they could just throw it out to everybody. And so fast forward to today, I do think that approach really worked. We are now working with hundreds of LSPs, hundreds of law firms, and again, taking a very unique approach now to really trying to capture the rest of the market.
Yeah, and I'll share with the audience. I've known of Venio for over 10 years. I was an early user back in my law firm days, and I've had a relationship with Chris and Steve and Aristotle for many years. So full disclosure, they're friends and colleagues as well. So more than happy to help uplift the Venio engine, so to speak. But they've been around for a long time, and a really great engine if you're in the Ediscovery space. Let's go a little broader, Sean, and talks about Ediscovery trends. What are you hearing in the market? What's new? What's interesting? What's exciting? And how does that tie into sort of the Venio vision?
Yeah. So look, I think there's a lot of trends out there, obviously, that we're hearing. I think I wanted to focus on three that we are hearing most, but also that are really impacting us here internally on how we're thinking and how we're approaching moving forward. So the first one is really users and them demanding more control and flexibility of their data, and probably a better understanding of their data spend at the end of the day. And this is something that I think in our day and age today makes all the sense in the world, that people want more transparency and more flexibility. And that's something that for us, Venio can really give. And I think before I start pitching Venio too much here, I want to make sure that we're talking about the trend, but I do think they lead into each other and kind of trickle down, if you will. So this need for more control and more flexibility really leads to the next trend, which is the need and want for a hybrid approach or a hybrid solution. And this is something that we are hearing literally multiple times per week. And at the end of the day, I think this is something that it's happening for multiple reasons. It's either happening because somebody's being forced into cloud, or they are maybe they have a new a new software that has been rolled out, and it's the one that they want them to use, and whether that's processing or review, it's kind of being forced to be used. And I think that's something that again is being noticed in the market, and people are starting to push back on it. And so for us, we are trying to do our best to obviously capture that audience, because we have an end-to-end solution that really can enable us coming in and either working alongside a on-prem solution, and ultimately either migrating that on-prem solution all into our cloud, or coming on as an actual hybrid solution and acting as an on-prem and cloud solution, where that flexibility then comes into play, and somebody can say, okay, I have to have this in on-prem, but I want to make sure that I'm only sending the data into the cloud that I 100% need to ultimately pay for.
How just to dig in a little bit there.
Yeah.
In today's world, I would imagine that having a cloud solution is really, top of mind for most people. How would you say the market is divided in terms of on-prem and cloud-based solutions?
That's a great question. I would say right now, from what I'm hearing, most people are using on-prem. Now, everybody is going towards the cloud, and I think they all know that. Yeah. So it's either we're hearing, hey, we need to have a cloud solution. Do you guys have the ability to work alongside, one of the industry providers, or can you guys come in? We need to prepare for this. We have an internal solution, and we need to either migrate that off or prepare to have an actual hybrid solution moving forward. So I would say, to answer your question more directly, the market, in my opinion, is probably more on-prem right now, but I think most of the people that I'm talking to understand that it's shifting towards a more cloud-based world.
And that's got to bring up all kinds of security questions too, I'm sure.
It does. And I have a couple talk tracks about that here in a second, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But I think at the end of the day, look, one of the things that you brought up some of our founders before, and that's I love that you kind of are on a friend basis with them with your industry knowledge, and it makes sense. Obviously, they've been in the industry for a long time, but I think at the end of the day, the power of our analytics is TAR 2.0, security, SOC 2 compliant. And I think they've been in the industry, right? So they're not going to go down that route of not covering the right bases. And again, I think when you look at maybe us being a little bit late to the party from a brand awareness standpoint, that might be okay. But at the end of the day, if you take a step back and actually look at our credibility in the market and the people and companies that are trusting us with the security of their data, it kind of makes a little bit more sense, in my opinion.
So nothing screams credibility more than a good leadership team. Let's talk a little bit. There's been some changes in leadership. Let's talk a little bit about what those are, how those change things at Venio. What can you tell us about new leadership at Venio Systems?
Yeah. And I want to just really quickly say, I said 3 trends, and I only hit 2. So there's customer support is something we're hearing as well. And I won't go into it that deeply, but because one of our new leadership that I'm going to talk about is very customer service based, or customer support based. So I'll talk about
wrap it together.
There you go. 100% agree though. And thank you for proposing it that way. I think, our internal team is starting to really max the power of our technology, and that's exciting for us. And so, John Birchfield is really the catalyst of I think the buzz around Venio right now. And to give a quick backstory, he was president of a large, well-known LSP in the industry, and they had hundreds and hundreds of terabytes of data that they needed to migrate off, and I want to say had about 10 providers or other softwares they were looking at. They went through a very in-depth process in order to kind of vet that, and they were, again, I won't go too in-depth into it, but ultimately they chose Venio. And taking all of that data, putting it into Venio was an extremely clean process. And when he ended up essentially being in the job market again, he thought back to the fact that that was that smooth of a process, and really the customer service side of it. And luckily for us, he ended up joining Venio. And I think that's again brought a lot of credibility to Venio, but also put some eyes on Venio as well. And again, kind of like some of these trends, it's had a trickle down effect in that some of the really impactful people from John's past are starting to follow. And so one of the people I wanted to highlight is Ronnie Johnson. He's now our VP of operations, but he has over 20 years experience in Ediscovery. And he's been jumping on sales calls with me, super consultative. Again, so much industry knowledge about every single software, not just Venio, and really, again, consultative in the sense of helping even, a first call or a second call with us, giving people in-depth knowledge on the ins and outs of even our competitors. So I think, that approach is really resonating very, very much so. And I think to round out my, third trend there, and really, just such an important addition to our team, as well as Jennifer Jackson. So she's joining us as Senior Director of Customer Success. And so over 15 years of Ediscovery knowledge, industry experience, and just again a wealth of knowledge. A absolute go-getter. She's already been on the phone with every one of our customers, already building relationships with people that she needs to be building relationships with, and just again making a huge impact. But also again, I think enabling the market to see that Venio is really taking their credibility seriously and starting to really look like the mold of a very successful e-discovery software company.
So you said the magic words for me, the consultative approach. How valuable is that, and how underrated is the consultative approach? Like, everybody talks about their tool, their processes, their people, but that consultative piece is, to me, the game changer. It's the one thing that differentiates one organization from another and makes them stand out. If you've got good consultants, and at the end of the day, they're just problem solvers, right? We call them consultants, but if you can solve problems and you've got the tools, I think you're golden. That's awesome. Sounds great. Wishing you all the luck in the world in that regard. So I wanted to ask you about this. I've seen this promotion, this recent promotion that's out there. Are you saying that users can try Venio for free, no commitment? What brought that about? How does that work? Tell the audience how they can take advantage of this promotion.
Yeah, I mean, so right now, again, with the buzz around Venio, we are doubling down on that, and we want people to have the opportunity to try our software, especially if they've never heard of us, and again are maybe watching this or learning, now about us and understanding, wow, this is, a software that we need to try. At the end of the day, we trust and really believe in our software. So we, feel that if people are going to try it, they're going to jump on, they're going to actually get a value out of it. And we have not lost with this, with this promotion yet. So basically it allows you to try Venio for 30 days. You have the ability to, within that 30 days, opt out at any time. And again, just kind of a get your feet wet with Venio sort of situation. But something that, again, talking about that customer service side and customer support side, within that 30 days, we are really building relationships with each, person and team that we're working with, and taking that, again, consultative approach with them. And a lot of times they are coming off of situations where, again, the customer support or the customer service maybe wasn't where it needed to be. We are hearing all the time, I'm on the phone for hours at a time, just literally sitting there waiting for my provider to get back to me. And at the end of the day, if they don't own their own engine and they're having to, reach out to somebody else in order to get an answer about, their review platform or whatever it may be, again, you can't blame them. But at the end of, at Venio specifically, we take the approach of, we're going to get you an answer. And, we're here. If we don't have the actual perfect answer for you, fine, but we are there and we're always going to communicate with you. And so, sorry to get a little bit off wind there, but I think that's something
no, that's totally fine. Are there any sort of limits on that promotion, like data size or otherwise?
So no, look, at the end of the day, we are trying to get people to, again, take a plunge with Venio. Again, it's very situational. Because, to our point before, right, people are coming to us with all sorts of different situations. Hey, I've never tried Ediscovery, and we would like, to try a cloud platform. Okay, that's a very different situation than, I have 150 terabytes on, whatever platform, and we need to migrate it off because it's sunsetting, or something along those lines, right? So I think the promotion is more along the lines of, how can we give, people the ability to try Venio, and give them the ability to, within a certain period of time, opt out if they don't feel that we are providing the value that we say we're going to provide. So I think that's kind of more of the approach.
You got to give them the experience.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So before we go, I always like to ask, what's new, what's interesting, anything you want to share with the audience about Venio, about you, about upcoming events. Are you guys going to be at ILTA, the Legal Technology Conference?
We are. I'll be there myself. John Birchfield will be there as well. I think we're bringing 3 or 4 people from our team.
Awesome. We should set up some time to chat.
We should, for sure.
That's good to do. Lastly, how can people get in touch with you, Sean?
Yeah, and real quick, just some things that I wanted to really touch on. One thing that we're kind of excited about. So look, I think there's this whole jigsaw of end-to-end e-discovery that we are. I think hitting almost every single piece, and the one piece that may be missing for us is collections. And so that's something that is on our roadmap for as soon as possible at this point. But I think something that we've identified in the market as we need to, again, add this piece to our puzzle in order to really round out having a true end-to-end e-discovery platform. So that's something that we're really excited about, and I think is kind of soon to come here in the next couple of months.
Awesome. All right. How do people get in touch with you, Sean?
Yep. So you can get in touch with me. Obviously, anybody would like to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there. My email address is scavanagh at veniosystems.com. My last name does not have a U in it. The biggest misconception there. So it's Cavanagh. And so that's, again, I'll share my information with ACEDS. If anybody wants to reach out, I can also share it in the chat here. But look, we are, I'm in sales. So at the end of the day, if anybody wants to talk to me, I'm very easy to get in touch with. And I'm always open to having a conversation with you.
We like to say he's not hard to find, folks. And of course, you can learn more about Venio at veniosystems.com. Check out the website. It's pretty cool. Sean, this has been great. Thanks for making time for us today. We appreciate you. We appreciate Venio. And we look forward to doing it again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me. Thank you, audience. Appreciate it.
All right. If you are interested in our short form video interviews, you can find We Are ACEDS Live in your LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook feeds, or check us out on our YouTube channel where you can watch previous interviews and live streams. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Venio. We'll see you again next time.